A lot of things have been going on and a lot of things not going as well as planned out here at the homestead. Hey there, it's been a few weeks since I did an update, so a lot of things have been going on and a lot of things not going as well as planned out here at the homestead. So where I left off was I was trying to replace in our well house over here the pressure tank that we've got in the well house. So I'm not sure, I think it's over my shoulder here, ideally. You can see it. I don't know, maybe not, maybe I need to turn a little bit. Yeah. So I was trying to place the pressure tank in there. So we had a 20 gallon, I wanted to go up to a 50. I wanted to increase the pressure in the tank. And that ended up not going according to plan, which is how a lot of things seem to go out here on the homestead. So I'll kind of talk through what happened and maybe I'll throw some pictures up for you to see. But what ended up happening was I went to do the first install, didn't have the right pieces, had to run to town, went to try it again, didn't have the right pieces, had to run to town, was about to do it for the third time, yet again, I was missing something, had to run in town. Then I finally had everything. Once I had everything, then I ran into another issue. What I had done is when I bought the tank, I had looked at the height of the tank to make sure it would fit inside my house, and it fit great. What I hadn't thought about was that the new tank is wider than the old tank was. So the doorway that I had to put the tank in, yeah, the new tank did not fit in that doorway. So what I had to do was remove part of the side of the door and part of the wall, and then I could actually fit the tank in there. So I did manage to get the tank in at that point in time. I got everything hooked up. I used pipe dope on my tee to get everything together, and I had a little bit of leak, but it wasn't too bad. I was able to tighten it up after that, and it stopped most of the leaks, and turned everything on, and it seemed to be working. So I was happy. We got the water back onto the property. I watched the pressure go up and down a couple of times, seemed to be good. But I wasn't really careful about watching the pressure. I think that was the big issue that I ran into, that when I did when I watched the pressure, I watched it a couple of times really quick, but didn't really take my time there. Because we were like at the last day that we were going to be out here, I had delayed a whole lot, so I got hurried at that point in time. So anyway, we drove home, and I was checking on electricity usage and noticed that we'd gone from, normally when we're out here and we're using the pump, we'll draw maybe close to a kilowatt over a day. But then I noticed we were drawing, after all of that, we were starting to draw 24 per day. So yeah, that was a little bit of a problem, and maybe I'll throw a little graphic up here of that. And so things were not working as they were supposed to. So I hightailed it back on down out here, took a look inside the well house, and what I saw was it looked like the pressure relief valve was going off. So I think what had happened was that my pressure switch was just getting stuck on and it was constantly pumping. So I've got a little bit of worry about my pump not being in great condition at this point in time, because I think I was over pumping for a while. So what ended up happening was I ended up taking the tee off, shutting the power off, taking the tee off. I went back and I redid all my joints with tape instead of pipe dope, cleaned them up, retaped them, made sure I had no leaks. I like that setup a lot better. The dope was okay, but it looked a lot cleaner after I did the tape. I need to learn how to use pipe dope better. Obviously, I need some time and some practice using it. Anyway, so I got the tape, got everything back in there, got everything hooked back up. I ended up stepping down the water pressure in there. So I had originally thought it was a 30-50, wanted to go to 40-60, and I ended up stepping it back down because what I had noticed was that the pump was really struggling once it got up to about 40, trying to go over 40. It seemed like it really struggled to get water in there. So I think that's where I was running into a problem, was the too high a pressure ended up causing it to get stuck on, possibly. And we've had these power fluctuations out here. Maybe that was what did it. I'm not exactly sure. Anyway, with the new setup, I dropped it back down and put the old pressure switch on there, and we went back to a 2040 setup, which was what ended up being in there originally. So that's what it's set up now, and it's been running fine since then. I'm still using a little bit more power than I would like, and I need to figure that one out. I'm not as bad as that first weekend where I think it was constantly on, but I am using more power than I would like to be using right now, so still need to get that figured out. But the well house is up and running, water's good, and got that project achieved, so feeling good about that. The other thing that I need to do, I started on, was the door to the well house. Really, it was just a piece of, what do they call that? Hardy board that was screwed in. So it's not really a door, you have to unscrew the hardy board in order to get in and out. So I used some wood, my little Craig jig, and made a door. So I've got a door on there right now. I need to give me a latch in order to make it latch shut. And I haven't been able to address the wiring that I want to do in there either. So that's probably over the next couple of days, is address the wiring. So the adventure that happened recently after that, so I kind of got that into shape, was I went to change, like underneath the house that I've got, there was, what do I want to say there? There was a mess underneath the house. There's cords and wires all over the place. There were 2 heat lamps on. I did manage to get underneath there. I turned the heat lamps off, pulled all that stuff out of there, and I noticed that there's a filter underneath the house, which is good, should have a water filter, but it was wrapped in heat tape and wrapped up with electrical tape, so there's no way that filter could have been changed since at least this last winter, and maybe longer ago than that. So let's just say I was concerned. And the problem is, in order to get to that, I have to climb halfway underneath our house, and it starts off where I can kind of almost sit underneath the house, but then it slopes up to where I get to where the filter's at. I have to be belly crawling in order to get to the filter. So there was a shut off, which I found by removing some of the foam insulation that was on the pipe. I was afraid there wasn't, and I was gonna have to shut it off at the well house. But as I got up there and removed some of the foam insulation, there was a shut off up there by the filter. So I got in there and I got me some Culligan water filters, and then climbed up underneath there and got the housing off. And as I pulled it out to look at it, there was no filter in the water filter housing. There was about a 1/2 inch of mud and gunk in the bottom of it, but no filter. So yeah, so the other thing that I figured out is that it wasn't a Culligan water filter, it was something else. So luckily Menards carries that brand, so I was able to go up to Menards and get me a filter to put in there. Once I did that, while I was there, I was thinking maybe I should replace it and do something different, because this whole crawling underneath the house, halfway underneath the house, is really kind of a big pain in the ass if I want to change the filter on a more regular basis. And having the shut off there makes it not very easy to work on any of the water utilities in the house. So I thought maybe I would get under there and mess with that. But, so I got most of the stuff to do that. And then I got back to the house and I was really kind of sick and tired of crawling underneath there. So I just decided to put the filter in and I'd climb back underneath there and we would call it good for this time, and I would come back later and address the other things. So I crawl back underneath there, I got my filter and I got my housing and I get it all screwed back in there, which is kind of a pain in the ass because this is the cheapest model of filter housing that they have. There's no shutoff or anything, and it's located in such a way that it is really hard to get it back into position. So I managed to get it back in there, got everything hooked up. I went to turn the water back on, hit the shutoff valve, and it just started spraying everywhere. Not from the filter, from the shutoff valve. So when I would turn the water on, the shutoff valve would start spraying. So, turn the water back off. Water was done for the day because at that point in time, I was kind of past when stores would be open. So ended up next day, I needed a few more parts because I hadn't planned on the shutoff valve breaking. That was not a piece I had thought of. So I had to run back to the store next day, bright and early, got me my pieces, and I started on my project where I was going to hook back up with a new piece of piping. I was going to run it closer to where the entrance to underneath my access to my crawl space underneath the house is, which I managed to do. So I piped it all the way over there. I ran it into a new shutoff valve so I can just kind of reach a little ways underneath the crawl space and hit that shutoff valve. And I put in the new filter that's got a bypass and it's clear so I can see if it gets gunky or not. Got all of that set up, and then to reattach back in, I was short about 5 feet on the pecs that I had. Oh, so it was another run to town. So ran to town yet again, got myself my pecs, got everything hooked back up, and now we're in a good water space. So the well pump seems to be working. The new water filter seems to be working great. It's in a location where I can get at it and do stuff with it. And I'm happy, like it worked really well. Now, the plan was, when I started working on that, that was this past weekend, which was my birthday weekend. So I had my birthday. And so I was out here working on my birthday. Unfortunately, Kate can't be out here right now. She's got, her mom's kind of got some medical issues that she's helping work through right now. So she wasn't able to travel with me. So I was here this birthday weekend, plus I've been here a little bit longer. So, been trying to work on things by myself that don't involve Kate having to do stuff. So a lot of it's been shop stuff that I've been working on. I'm trying to clean up inside of there, removing some more of the paneling and stuff from inside. But one of the things that Kate got me before I left was a birthday present. And the birthday present that she got me was a beehive. So I've been really interested in raising bees. That's one of the first animals I thought we could get out here on the homestead. And it wouldn't be something that we have to be out here every day to take care of like a lot of the other things, but this would give us something that we can start to raise out here and, you know, ideally get something from and get started on. So really excited about that. I've got I'll put another video out there of me putting together the beehive. Some of my footage got lost because I've been having some camera issues. I've got a new mic that I'm trying out, but I've been having some issues with like SD card stuff and things like that. So I don't know that I capture everything when I think I do, which is part of why all the well stuff, I'll probably just throw some pictures up as I talked earlier, because the footage is really dicey there with things that were going on and the camera not working at certain points and working at some points. So don't have everything that I wanted. So as part of this weekend, I also built a beehive. That'll be an exciting thing, is trying to get the beehive out here and get bees. We've got a bunch of equipment to try to do that, and we'll see how that goes. That should be another fun journey. And I'm really looking forward to that. I think that would be fun. That would be our first animals out here on the homestead, and that would be amazing. Not that there's not a million other insects out here, like I got gnats all over while I'm walking around, and I'm making really close friends as I work in the shop with the mud daubers, because there's a lot of them in there. Trying to avoid the hornets. The mud daubers are not so bad. Those guys we seem to get along okay. They don't mess with me and I don't mess with them. So we're good right now. But the bees, really looking forward to the bees. We have a lot of clover out here, so there's lots of things that they can grab nectar from. Yeah, it would just be cool to have some animals out here. So that'll be the next video. I think will be putting the hive together and then putting it out here, and hopefully I can get I'm noticing it's kind of late in the season to get nucs. About everybody else seems to be sold out, and I've found a couple that I think are local that might still have some left where I can get bees, but we'll have to check into that and see if I can get that going. So that'll probably be our next thing. Either a video on the beehives, or maybe I'll review kind of what's going on in the shop. I haven't done a walkthrough of the store and of the house and potentially of the barn, which is kind of back over here behind me as I'm walking around. Need to do kind of a walkthrough of that and show you what exists there, because I haven't done the other buildings yet. Kind of talked about the shop a lot because I'm in there, and that's kind of my building or whatever. So I need to do a little bit more on the other buildings that we got out here and let you see what we got. I'm constantly, right now, as I'm wandering around the old house that we've got, and I think that's going to be a tear down project, as opposed to trying to restore, because it's in pretty rough shape inside. And there's some interesting things about it too, so we'll have to walk through that and then let you see what's in there. So, all right, well, that's it for now. Thanks for watching.